Nice to see everyone's faces. All right, July 1, 2020. We made it halfway through. Yeah, no kidding. That's right.
Start video. Okay, I did it. Oh.
All right. Hey there. All right, I've seen some friendly faces. I've seen some new faces too. That's great, or some new names. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Appreciate that.
Move around.
All right. All right. I'm in the blue room. You can all tell I'm in the blue room, the new admissions room. It's awesome here.
Hey, Dave, is this kid friendly or no?
Yeah, sure.
Or parent only, or parent only?
No, it can be anybody.
Oh, okay. Lovely.
Yeah.
And this is Grandpa, everybody.
Yeah.
There we go. Did you do that? Oh.
All right.
Okay, so hit the button. Just hit the screen. And then go to mute.
Well, there we are. Okay. Some outside, some inside. It's one of those kind of days, I guess. So very nice. Like I said, I see some familiar names and faces, and I see some new names here. So thank you for joining us, everyone. I appreciate that very much. So,
hi, guys.
I'm going to give another minute or so, and then I'll mute everybody, and then I'll kind of go through kind of the presentation in a sense of what this all looks like. And then we'll come back together and we'll have some question time and things like that. So that's how the flow of the Zoom call will go. So thanks so much. Now I'm getting pretty good at Zoom now, so I've got some things that'll pop up, and I put them into a PowerPoint, so hopefully everything will work fine. But it's one of those things that practice makes perfect, but I'm not perfect, but it gets there. So. All right, why don't we go ahead and get started here. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody. Hopefully not myself, but I'll mute everybody else. All right, so hopefully you can hear me. If you can't hear me, please wave. All right, good. So everyone can hear me, I think. That's great. So what I wanted to do tonight was just kind of touch base with everybody, kind of a town hall number 2. We had one for the middle of June or so, and now we're hitting July 1st, and brand new year. Our fiscal year started today. Everything's brand new as we're moving forward. And so I just want to thank again everybody for joining us this evening to kind of go through the next phase of what Seattle Lutheran High School is going to be. We have to remember that all of our lives and the school comes and is in phases, right? And we go through different phases. All of us are living the teenage phase with our kids. And then we realize that goes to the 21-year-old and the 25-year-old and those kind of things. And we've all been there. So the school is not much different. The school is going through phases all the time. There's different phases that we have been put upon, like this one that we're in right now. But really, I'm reminded of a saying that says, the flowers remind us of the rain that has come, right? So we have to look towards what God is doing in the next phase for us. And as we walk through all these other times that we're going through. So I have, like I said, a PowerPoint, and then I want to kind of go through some points, and then we'll come back and do some questions and thoughts after that as well. I'll probably miss a few things, so some of you can kind of remind me. That would be terrific. The first thing on the PowerPoint is going to be a kind of an alumni, an older video that we had, but I want you to listen to the song because the song in that video is really important for this place. This place has the opportunity to be a light, and I want us to kind of focus on that as well. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right, get that out of there. How do I move this? All right, so we have Seattle Lutheran High School.
This world can be cold and bitter. It feels like we're in the dead of winter, waiting on something better. But am I really gonna hide forever? Over and over again, I hear your voice in my head. Let your light shine, let your light shine for all to see. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. You only need a spark to start the whole blaze. It only takes a little faith. Let it start right here in this city. So these old walls will never be the same. Over and over again, I hear your voice in my head. They need to know, I need to go. Spirit, won't you fall on my heart now? Start a fire in my soul. Fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. You are the fire, you are the flame, you are the light on the darkest day. We have the hope, we bear your name, we carry the news that you have come to say. Only you can save. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. Start a fire in me.
All right, so that video is of alumni. No one in that video is still in the building, but they're all in the next phase of their lives. And that's what we want to look for too as we move into the next phase of Seattle Lutheran and what that looks like for us from now into the future. And so we want to take this opportunity to really look at how we can be really innovative, and we can be independent, and we can bring some innovation to what we're doing. So the next slide here talks a little bit about our history, and the Seattle Lutheran has weathered 40 years of growth and joy in West Seattle, and it continues to do that. There's been so many things that have in its history has come against a roadblock here or there, and Seattle Lutheran continues to follow where God leads us in that area. And our intent is to be a leader in this and transform the education in today's world. Now, that's a big goal. I understand that. But we can be that fire. We can be that light that says, okay, this is an opportunity for us to educate better, an opportunity for us to take the chance and educate young adults better. Make sure that we're doing something that's valid and it's important for their lives, because that's why we're here. So I want to kind of remind some of you at the town hall, the first one, we talked about the 3 things that really focus what we do at Seattle Lutheran. We want to have initiative. We want to make sure that we take the first steps and trust that God leads us in those steps, and be creative and work together. We want to be independent. We want to build independence in our young people. The simple example of that is, as they come as freshmen to us, we spend a little bit more time working with them and I wouldn't say coddling them, but walk them through what the next steps are. But by the time they're senior year, we want them to be a little bit more independent. And we learned through the virtual spring that we had that they can step up and do that. So we want to kind of continue to walk them through that. And then we want to have that builds self-confidence and also helps with their emotional intelligence with others around them. And then we want to be innovative in our thinking, innovative in how we approach education, and that transfers to the students being innovative how they leave here and they think about what they do and who are they going to become. Because, God has that plan for them, and we want to continue to nurture that, walk with them and say, hey, let's guide you through your plan and what your plan is. And I think we all learned that as we kind of realized the springtime and the virtual piece, and how we have to trust each other in what we do and how we help these young people and walk through that. So those are the 3 things that we want to emulate as a school, and we also want the students to, as they graduate and as they move on, to have those traits as well. So the educational, excited to be a leader here in the educational process. Hopefully you are too at Seattle Lutheran. You're all a part of this. And as we can take our step forward, and let's talk a little bit about the educational process and leader. At Seattle Lutheran, about 6 years ago, my second year here, we moved to a later start. So we were starting at 8 o'clock and we moved to 8:45. And all the research was telling us to do that, so we did that. And then people followed us when we went through that. We went to a one-to-one kind of a school with iPads. And then again, people were doing that after the case. And then we went to J-term, and now we see that some other schools are popping up with this J-term experience. So we have a proven track record of being a leader. So this opportunity now allows us to, okay, here we go. Let's take this opportunity and make ourselves stronger as we go through this. So I've got a few little points here just to remind everybody. We're looking at a schedule in the building in the fall of a standard schedule and a block schedule. All right, so, and I'll show the schedules in a minute. And in that, we're looking at a schedule that's 4 days a week with a flex day. So that flex day is, right now it's on a Friday. That flex day is a day where we can do other activities. We can do field trips. We can do labs. We can do we're going to do home-based learning as well. So we stay attuned to that, because that allows our young people to be independent and grow in that. And so we want to continue to work towards that. But we also want to use that flex day to do a math lab, and also to do a writing lab, and to help our students continue to grow and be successful. So it could be in building, or it could be at home, depending on the student's schedule. That's the home-based learning one day. We want to continue to do that. We know that as they leave here, no matter where they go, colleges or even the workforce, they're going to have to learn to work off the computer. And so we got thrown into that in the spring, and we want to nurture that and build success with that, but not do it all 100% for sure. We're going to stagger our start times with our schedule, allow us for some safety with the COVID-19 and what that looks like. And then we want to structure it for students and their learning. And so with all of that, we build independence, innovative thinking, and initiative. All right, so the next slide is going to be a schedule, I believe. This is a tentative schedule that we're putting together. So this would be for freshmen and sophomores. And it looks, there's a block schedule in the morning, and then there's a period of individual periods in the afternoon. So those of you who grew up in high school and had a block schedule, and those of you who grew up in high school and didn't have a block schedule and just a regular periods, you could have experienced both, and maybe you have favorites or not favorites. We are going to combine the two. Now, why do we do that? Well, we do that because we want the subject and the student to be successful. So a math class, for example, needs to meet every day. It has to have that repetition. Some of our foreign languages need to have that repetition every day. Then we have a humanities class or an art class or some of the electives. They have time to work and have time to get their projects done. And so those are fit better in a block schedule. So as we talk to the teachers, we ask, okay, which ones, which would be better for your subject, and what does that look like? And so that's why we developed these block and period schedule together. So, and then you can see the flex day on Friday. Now the flex day is not necessarily a home-based day. There might be some things during the day on Friday that they have to attend to, but it's kind of one of those things to teach independence and to walk through that. Our freshmen coming in will probably have more things to start with in the building, and then maybe some mentor time and things like that. And as our seniors might have a little less and more independence with that. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the freshmen, sophomores. Now notice when the times aren't definite yet, but we're looking at starting them about 15 minutes earlier, because then the next schedule is the opposite. So you have the juniors and seniors starting a little bit later. They have the periods in the morning, individual periods in the morning every day of the week. And then the afternoons, they have their block schedules and what that looks like for them. So those are the schedules, and those are the things that we're working off of right now. Now I say tentative because a survey is going out to all of you tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Friday at the latest, but for the students to fill out their electives and what that looks like, so we can start putting them into these blocks, because it's a big puzzle to put everybody together in what that looks like. So we're going to do that and send that to you, so you can have them fill it out online, or you can do it for them. But I would get some input from them for sure. And then we can start filling in the blocks of what this looks like. There are some things that are a little bit different in this because of COVID-19, and also because of, keeping everybody, I would say not isolated, but kind of in groups together. One of the biggest things that we love about our place is community. And so we're still working out the details on how we can do our lunch period, and how we can do our chapels, and how we can do our community times with the state of where we are with COVID. And so this schedule allows us to keep our numbers separated, keep us moving in the building at different times, and it allows us to stay safe in that area as it goes through. We do see here that our classrooms are being used, and which is of course good. We are blessed to have very large classrooms. So our smallest classroom can fit 12 students right now, 12 in our smallest. And that's the smallest. Our average classroom size can fit 18 to 20 students in it, with the COVID restricted 6 feet around each student and what that looks like. So that's really a kind of a huge blessing about this wonderful building, that I don't always say wonderful building for the age of it, but the classroom size is terrific. So we're able to space students out, and we're able to use this schedule to help us with that, and help also with our safety plan and what that looks like. 3 things we want to kind of remember with this. We want to build accountability with our students. We want to kind of build some independence as they go, especially as they get older and start moving on to their next life in college or wherever that may be. They have to learn that independence and what that grows. And we also want to make sure that we're innovative in our approach. And the teaching in the classroom is going to be able to do that, because we're looking at block schedule and also every period of the day schedule. So it's a mix of the two. And so that's what we're working on right now as we schedule everybody out. Again, in building, 4 days a week, 5 for the younger students, mainly, with some flexible things in between, as the juniors and seniors start to have a little bit more of an independent piece for them as they go. A couple of things that I want to mention towards this too is this opens the door to some things for students, some project things, clubs, different things that they could do on that Flex Friday as a group together, staying safe, being outside, and all those things with the COVID-19 that's drawing a lot of attention in how we design things right now. So we're excited about it. If you can't tell, it's a hard working process. Our academic coach, Andy Merlino, and Shirley Radenberg have been working hard to put everything together. But we wanted to make sure people saw that we're moving full steam ahead. And we're also taking an educational approach that's very positive for our students and for our teachers, really, as well. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the safety things that we're looking at. But before I get into the details of that, what I want to do is make sure everyone understands that the things that we hear from OSPI are terrific. They're terrific information, and that's for the public sector. That's for the public schools and all the things that they have. I've been involved with WFIS, Washington Federation of Independent Schools, and private schools have been given a lot of guidelines and not too many mandates. So we have to be, we are in an environment that's a little bit different. Our school is responsible to all of you and to the parents. We don't have to turn in anything to the state that says we're doing this and doing this and doing this. We have to show you that we're doing it. And of course we want to, because that's the safety factor for what we're doing. And so I just wanted to make sure everybody was understanding of that. Now, there are some mandates, and one mandate right now that's happening is, of course, the masks, right? And how we're wearing masks everywhere throughout. And that's a mandate that is moving into the schools, of course, as it goes. Now, we all know things change. And so at this point, that's a mandate that we have to adhere to. But as we go into the school year, we'll see how that changes. Some of the things that are put forth, like the 6-foot rule for students in a classroom, you have to have 32 square feet or something around them, something like that. That's in general. So, for example, if you're doing a chemistry lab, you probably need to be masked up, but you're going to be able to move around and not stay in your cubicle, in a sense. But with the precautions that we have in place as well. All right. So going down this list here, we're going to get signage. We're going to have everybody have masks and masks available at this point. There's going to be some sanitation stations, as well as we're trying real hard to redo our sinks and our faucets and things like that. So it's no touch, things like that. Hallways will probably be not one way, but split down the middle, and they'll be able to come up one stairs and down the other. We'll make the stairs one way or another way. Limit access of large gatherings. Of course, we can't do the large gatherings at this point, but for phase 2, it's 50. But maybe as we get to phase 3 and it's 100, that might be possible for us. We'll see. Temperature checks as they come in. Right now, we're doing a sample of that. Student athletes or all students can come and work out, and they sign up on the Sign Up Genius on the in Schoology. Or they can email me and I'll send them the link, and then they do temperature checks down there and things like that. So we're practicing that right now as we come in. And then of course we'll have some protocols for all of us if someone becomes sick, and also if they're at home sick and how they can't come to school and things like that. So that'll all be laid out with our safety team and our plan. And then also one of the big things is tracing. Tracing what if someone is diagnosed, and we have to trace and see where they were and who they were around and those kind of things. And our schedule will help us kind of isolate where we are in situations like that. But those are some of the key things that we want to make sure we're working on. We have a safety team that's working on that. Glenn Hogerheid is leading some of that this July with contracting people to come in and clean and get everything kind of ready to kind of move forward and sanitize and things like that. We also would like to have some parents. There were some parents that in our first town hall offered to be a part of that safety team. So if you'd like to be a part of that, and we're calling it the Parent Advisory Group. And that Parent Advisory Group, we want to put some parents just as a kind of part of the team to make sure that all people are being heard, and we're kind of working together to keep everything safe, because that's our goal for the students and for us and for teachers and for everybody is to stay safe throughout this. But we also want to continue to educate and move in that direction as well. So if you're interested, please shoot me an email at dmeyer@seattlelutheran.org, and you can find it on the website as well. And I'd love to put your name down on that. Glenn Hogerheide will be reaching out to everybody in the month of July to kind of maybe do a Zoom call as well to see where we're at and how we're going to start with that that process. So I think I hit all the things here. Give us feedback and schedule adjustments and things that might work with that. Now let's go back to the schedule for a minute. If we do have a mandate like we've had before, we are ready to move into the online virtual piece. And so it won't be a slow turnaround at all, especially since we're continuing to do some home-based things. And what we've learned in the spring to be even better, we will turn around that pretty quickly if we're mandated to do that as well. So we have a plan for that. We have a schedule already set. We have everything kind of lined up to move in that direction. I need to mention that, but it's not our focus. Our focus is to be right here in the building and keep everybody safe as we go, because we are unique in what we can do, and we are unique in our size. And we want to be that light. We want to be that flame out there in West Seattle. All right, so let's not forget about J-term, everybody. That's still planning on happening in January. We're not quite sure about our trip yet to the J-term trip. At this point, they've gotten the no-go, of course, to go anywhere. But we'll keep that out there a little bit. And so I wanted to share this with you as someone has shared it with us about their J-term. You can take a minute and read that. All right. All right. Again, sharing some videos of the past a little bit, but also reminding us of the joys that we've had here at Seattle Lutheran and will continue to have as we stay together and kind of walk through all of this, knowing that we're in this community together. And that's one of the biggest things for us to work on, is how we can continue to be this strong knit community and connected with the restrictions and what's going on around us now here in the next, a few months or however long it's going to be. And so those are the things that we're really working on: keeping everyone safe, making sure people are comfortable and understanding, and we're protecting each other. But we also want to make sure that we continue to build our community, because for 40 plus years, that's been part of what Seattle Lutheran has been about. And we want to continue to do that for sure, all the way through as we move into this next phase of what we're trying to do as a school and as a ministry in West Seattle. And also Seattle, let's not forget, just because the bridge went down, we still have students outside of this area, and we've got carpool options, and we've got different options for those families. And so we're building that right now with a parent group. So please let me know if anybody has an idea and also other things that they and want to participate in that would be terrific. So there we have that. And then let's not forget about, there we go. Let's not forget about our co-curricular activities as well. So, you know, as of this point, we've heard that robotics is ready to do something a little bit different, but be on the go for next year as well. Drama is ready to begin as well, and they also have some sources if they need to go virtual with their shows, and that's terrific. The clubs and activities groups, you know, that we found that those during the time of the virtual experience were really vital for the students to stay connected. Those who participated in the personal interest groups and also the clubs and activities, those were really important for the students to stay connected. So those have been going on and will continue. And our athletics have, we've started on Monday of this week, summer workouts for all students. It doesn't have to be athlete. Anybody who wants to come in can come in and sign up on that, sign up Genus and take some time. We keep it to 5 or less, and everybody's temperature checked and all those things are happening. So, but we want to start building some momentum towards that and as it goes through that. We haven't heard anything necessarily from the WIAA, which is the Washington Interscholastic Athletic Association, on, you know, specifics of what's coming in the fall. And so that's kind of a wait and see thing for us as well. But, you know, it's starting to kind of move in that direction. And so we have to be ready for what we have and what we want to offer the students for sure. So there we have that. And remember our mission statement as we remember that Seattle Lutheran High School provides a Christ-centered, student-focused environment that equips young people in their educational and spiritual journeys to be servant leaders in the world. Just really important for us to understand that the confidence that we should have comes from a God who loves us and walks us through this. We want to stay student-focused for sure, because the students are why we're here. So we want to be safe. We want to make sure that our educational experience is beneficial for them. And we also want to have them leave us as servant leaders to make sure that we have this opportunity that they leave here as a leader. And that means serving others, but also as a leader in this world. Because you know what? I think the group that we have, I mentioned this to some other people a while ago, that, you know, hope comes from our students, really, from our young people. I mean, if you watch and you see what some of our young people are doing for this world that's coming, it's pretty impressive. And one of the greatest hopes that I have is when I get to sit here in this building and I get to see the young people that are going to change the world. And I want to be a part of that with this group, because I really believe that Seattle Lutheran is built with these leaders, and however they come out, they're going to do something and something special. Very proud of our class of 2020, but I think there's more to come for sure with our student body, for sure. So there we have our PowerPoint. I'll go back to my end stop share. All right. So that's kind of what we have for ourselves here in the fall, coming up in the fall for our student body. We're, like I said, the schedule is tentatively being put together. So we want to make sure people are ready to do the surveys for us and be aware of those coming your way. And so we can continue to kind of walk through this and get ready for the fall to start up. So questions or thoughts?
There are several questions in the chat box.
Oh, okay. Let me figure out the chat box. All right, 2 questions. If a student has to quarantine for 2 weeks because of possible exposure, will the 4-day class week be available on Zoom? Yeah, okay, great question. Yes, if there is a exposure and the student is quarantined, we're working that out with the safety team and with the parent advisory of how we're going to handle you know, everyone else. But the student will, of course, be out, and then they would be available via online or virtual resources to be part of the class as they go through it. So, all right. So that's the answer to that is yes. We are looking at a few alumni that have experience with streaming classes and doing that. I'm excited about that. A gentleman by the name of Joey D'Angelo is helping us kind of maybe put some things together. So that might even be kind of a stream thing as we go through that. So are there any staff changes for this year? Yes, we did have a few staff changes as we go forward. And really, a couple of staff are still getting back to me about the bridge closure and the drive and what that looks like. But we're working hard right now as a board to contract the core of the staff and bring them all back for a great year. All right. If we have a green light, will the fall sports be offered? Yes, at this point, fall sports are. That's what our plan is. Depending on numbers, of course, and depending on what that looks like. Football is the one that's kind of up in the air a little bit with what we do and how we do football with COVID and all that. I'm not sure even what the WIAA is recommending or talking about with that one either. So, but as we go, there's a lot of restrictions that are put out right now for sports. So so we're kind of walking through that as we get closer and closer. All right. How's the schedule work if our daughter is sophomore but in? Oh, good question. That's exactly what our academic coach and Shirley Bradenberg. The question is how does the schedule work if someone's in a higher level class? That's what they're working out right now. So, for example, they're taking everyone's schedules and putting them into the mix. It's the personal approach we can have with a student body that's unique. So we want to make sure that we are hitting everybody's schedule. And doing it the most efficient way we can. So they'll be looking at that for sure. I do know the mixing of grades. That's a great point too. The mixing of grades is a terrific asset that we have at Seattle Lutheran, and we want to work that into our schedule. We also want to make sure we're doing the COVID-friendly approach as well. So it's a dance right now to be able to put our school and our community together like we want to, and I think need to as we sustain with the COVID restrictions that we have at this point. But we're working at that. That's a very important thing for us. We are very proud that everybody knows everybody's first name in this building, and we want to make sure that that continues to happen for sure. All right. Temperature checks. Questions. Will students, staff, visitors get braces? Well, and temperature checks, yes. Basically tracking, yes. Everybody, we're talking with the safety team about this, and they're coming up with some ideas along with the CDC and along with a parent group, advisory group of all of this. But yeah, everybody's going to be checked as they come in. We're probably not going to let parents in the building as much, or maybe not even at all without special circumstances. A lot of people coming in the building is not going to be something that we're going to do right off the bat. That's just not a good practice, I think, to start with. So we're going to be limiting that for sure. Teachers and students, of course, will be checked as we go through it. And then just once to the day right now is what we're talking about, but the safety team will come up with a plan for that as well. So there you go. Community service hours, maybe, yes, absolutely. I can't tell you that there's changes right now. I think we did make some changes last year and walking forward to this year. And so there will be definitely some changes, especially if we aren't able to kind of hit some marks that we want to hit with letting our students get out to serve other people, because that's the goal, right? The goal is that they get out and serve. I know our senior project has also been it's been cut back in the sense of it's not the same requirements as it was, just for the simple fact that there are a lot of projects that they were doing this summer got canceled. So they're not doing that. So we want to make sure we are balancing that out with the students, because again, this is no one's doing. So, all right, let me see. Yes, incoming freshmen can use the gym. Yes, incoming freshmen can use the gym. They just have to sign up on the, send me an email. I will give you the link. You can sign up on the Genius and they can come on in and use the gym for their sign up time for sure. All right, so if you know of anyone, or you are new to Seattle Lutheran and got us off of the West Seattle blog or Facebook, please, you can email me and I'll type my message right here. Well, I think I can do that. Yeah, dmeyer at seattlelutheran.org. All right, so it's on there. Oh, that's a private one. Sorry. Let me. Okay. Well, I'll keep going. I'll try it again. So we want to. I am doing the admissions piece right now too, and I love it. It's part of my personality that I just really enjoy. So I really would encourage everyone to talk and let people know that this is a planned thing what we're doing here, and we really want it to be something that has an opportunity for all families to be a part of. Now, of course, we're going to limit that too a little bit because we want to make sure we can do it with the numbers, right? And so that's why we're unique. But please let them know. Contact Dave Meyer at seattlelutheran.org or give us a call here at the office or our website too would be a great way to do that as well. So that's a great question. Thank you so much. Yeah. So we've got calendars. No sports yet, she said on the calendar. To everyone, no sports on the calendar yet, but the workouts are on right now. So check out Schoology for that. All right. Let me see. Did I get any other? Did I miss any questions?
Dave, I see 2 more questions in chat. The first says, is it the plan that students will stay in the classrooms and teachers will move?
It is the plan right now as we're looking at the classes. Thank you, April, for that. As we're looking at the classes, it is a plan that the teachers will probably move according to floor. So if you look at that schedule at this point, you're looking at mainly your periods are mainly your maths and maybe a foreign language, which would move to the lower floor. And so they would be there for periods and teachers would be moving. And then upstairs would be the humanities. And so they would go up, the kids would then go upstairs and then the teachers would be moving up there. So that's the thought right now is that we have carts for our teachers and our teachers do a little bit more moving than the students do.
And when will the final schedules be issued?
Well, after we get, after we get the electives back from everybody, right? And we have everything kind of locked in because we literally take everybody's schedule and we put it into the mix. I mean, it's not like we throw this is the schedule, if you don't fit, too bad. We put everything in there. So and it's understandably it is a process. So we need that information, and then by then we should have the schedules, within the middle of July to have that done before our next get together.
Couple more. How long are the block classes anticipated?
Right now they have them down for 90 minutes. So right down they're there for 90 minutes. So depending on timing and how that schedules out, they might be a little bit shorter than that, but that's a normal block schedule is 90 minutes.
What happens if we go back to phase 1?
Oh, I see that question. Yes. Well, phase 1, that would be not a great thing. We'd have to revamp maybe what we look at and what we do with our schedule and how we can limit building access and maybe do a little bit more of a separation with our students that are coming in and going out, maybe keeping it half days or things like that. But we're not planning for that. We're planning for being able to be where we are right now and keep walking in that direction. There's always contingency plans. We always want to have the backup plan per se, kind of like I said about the virtual. If we come on and the governor says we're back to going home and we're not, stay at home, then we're going to be ready. We're ready for that. But that's not where our focus is at this point. We have the backups in place, but we want to kind of keep moving forward for that, for sure. So that's a real important piece. Have we the student dollar numbers for the year? If not, are you concerned about funding the school or other activities that might impact? Yeah, we're still looking for some for students in our freshman class, mainly for our freshman class as well. We're following up with contracts right now with families and making sure people are committed. And so we, usually this time of year is a recruitment time as well. It's just this year, it's a little bit more with COVID and people making decisions. So I doing the admissions now, I see where we're going, and I have four new freshmen coming in, or one junior, 3 freshmen coming in next week. And so it's starting to happen a little bit for us, but we still need, I would love to have a few more students coming our direction. Am I concerning about funding? The board has a terrific plan in place for that. They really do. And so they've taken a big hold of that for us this year. And with everything that has been going on, it's been a blessing for them to do that. And so activities and other things might be affected a little bit, but that's also depending on how many students are participating and what that looks like. So, for example, football is something that's a lower numbers really, but it's also kind of an expensive sport. So looking at both and seeing how that pans out, those are all individual decisions to be made. All right. So, all right. No, start times will be start times. Exact start times. We're working right now with our 8:45 and our 9 a.m. That's what we're looking for right now. That's kind of where we're dancing from as we move the schedule up. We don't want to end too late in the day, but with high schoolers, it's almost easier to start a little bit later and go a little bit later because their brains are a little bit more functioning at 1 o'clock in the afternoon than 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's kind of where we're dancing with right now, like an 8:45 and a 9 o'clock start. And then rolling that to the end of the day at a 3 to 3:15 kind of thing at the end of the day. So, all right. Great questions. All right.
There was more, Dave, from Melissa asking if sports are going on in the fall, are there rules pertaining to the fans and families in the bleachers?
Oh, probably. I think we'll have to be spread out, which is one reason that some of the sports are, like soccer, for example, is something that's getting kind of pushed into cross country is getting kind of pushed, kind of moving forward in those areas, because you can really spread out with those fan bases and things like that, and make sure that you're being compared to, let's say, volleyball might be a little bit more difficult because of the gym use and where we are with that. So all still working out those details. And Glenn Hogerheit, our athletic director, will be taking on a big piece of that during the month of July for sure, to let people know. So I want to go back to our schedule for a second. I think we have to be careful that when we look at our schedule and we say, okay, we're doing this and we're doing this, we're doing periods, and then we're doing blocks, and a flex day, we have a flex day. Well, that flex day is going to be an activity day for the students. So if you can imagine having a full hour and a half chemistry lab that you get to start and finish during that time. You get to have some opportunities to do some writing lab with a teacher or math lab with a teacher, and really get some innovative help in your learning and what that looks like. You can also have the opportunity to balance what your individual schedule is. So for example, if you have something that you have to go to and you have another assignment in a class that's due on home-based learning, you still have to do that. And so we've got to remember that we're not, this flex day is something that allows us to clean the building a little bit more too, allows us to kind of have some things happen in the building a little bit more, but it also allows a student to be a little bit more independent, but yet still have to get their work done. And so it won't be promoted, especially to our younger students, our freshmen and our sophomores, as that kind of a day, because it's really an important piece for us to keep them moving and show independence. One of the things that I know as students leave us, they are so busy during their time here that they do football, they do this, they do this, they do this. They go to college and they go, oh, it's only 3 days a week. It's only an hour and a half class. That's it. I got nothing. And they haven't necessarily learned all the skills that says, no, you gotta, that's an hour and a half of class. You got to do some other work. You got to do it during that time. And so we want to start building that independence for the students with that. So it's not a day off. It's more of a opportunity for them to grow. And if we see some things not happening, then their individual flex day might be a little bit different. So, all right. Yeah, that's a good idea. The attendance and those kind of things are part of that flex opportunity as well. But again, we want to grow the students' independence. That's a big piece for us as we do that. Reviewed for increased airflow throughout. Oh, that's a great question. we have not. That's part of our July assessment of the building, to see what we can do to help for that, for the airflow, for the safety of the students. So that's a great question. Thank you very much. I would love to chat with you a little bit about that and get a little bit more detail. Maybe you have something that we could do or connect with to help us with that for the safety team. That would be great. All right, seeing the popped up questions here. How do you roll up and down the questions, April?
On the sidebar, there's a scrolling space. I can tell you what was missed. It says, will we know in advance how those flex days will work for us to plan transportation needs, those of us coming from further away?
Oh, thank you. That was a great one for sure. That is another asset of the Flex Day, right? And so we want to make sure that we're open to families from all over Seattle, and want to make sure that they have the opportunity to get here, and also have might not have to do it every single day. Yes, you will know what the schedule is of the Flex Day. Yes, it would not be something that's last minute for you to understand that this is going to happen for your child. So we would be the teachers would be very open and planning ahead for that. So let's say they have to come in for a lab, you would know ahead of time for sure for that. But we also want to let you know that we also want the opportunity for you to do some home-based, especially if you're far away. We have a family that had to move to Sammamish, and so they're like, oh man, that's a great idea for us, because then we can work from home on some of those days and not have to come all the way in. So it's kind of one of those things that we want to keep working on, and take away the perception of a day off. It's not a day off. It's working, but it's working in the way that our society is kind of going right now, right? And so we want to make sure that we get moving forward in that.
Yeah, Dave, that's kind of a question that's been popping up, and it's how do you do that? How do you make it not become a day off?
Right.
What are some of the strategies they're talking about?
Right. Okay. Well, that's great feedback. We'll work on that in our schedule to make sure that we have some strict, I don't say strict, but we have some guidelines for the students to make sure attendance is a great idea. We also have some other things that they can, they can make sure that they are responsible for in those periods. Again, the focus of the whole thing is to continue to work on those three items that we talked about at the beginning, and that is, we want our students to have innovative thoughts, we want them to take initiative, and we want them to be independent. And that's going to be a growth. That's a growth thing. It doesn't happen. You can't just throw them in the water and say, hey, do this. We have to grow with them. I mean, I've had 3 kids now moving into the next level of education, and you can't just say, hey, do it. You got to walk them through what that looks like. And that's what we want to do. So the Flex Day with some guidelines would be a great thing. So thank you for those questions.
Yeah, and someone wrote that they thought it might be important to require students' attendance for the Flex Day. So that's their strategy. There's a question here that says, is there a Facebook-friendly CELU ad that we can share on our pages? If so, please post on CELU page for us to share if desired.
Sure.
There is a video on the CELU Facebook page. So if you scroll down, when Rachel made the school video for admissions, that's a really, really, really great one that we should circulate some more. Also, for the help of the school, I would suggest for Dave, and Dave wouldn't be doing this, but the rest of us parents, I see that there's up to 51 people joining here today, that if you guys could go ahead and comment about how great the school is and give us some feedback on Facebook, that also brings it up, as well as there's other places that you may have looked when you were looking at a school. And those have not been updated in years. And so the references and recommendations pages out there would be really helpful for our school to have a little bit more visibility from other parents that are looking for schools.
And there's a link that Taya posted to check out the facebook.com Seattle Lutheran High School.
Great, thank you guys.
Dave, this is Greg Mazzetti. Instead of typing, I thought I'd just jump in with a couple of comments and questions.
Sure.
One is that I guess please let us know, all the parents know, if you're running short on funding for anything and you're thinking about cutting something, and so that the parents we can see if we can pull from our resources and help the school. So I would just throw that out there. I know you're under enormous pressure to get the school up and running with the COVID crisis, but let us know. So if there's a staff member, or you're thinking about cutting something, or that we can't do a sport because you don't have the funding, so that we can figure out fundraising ideas, or if parents can pitch in.
Thank you.
I guess the other comment I have is I've had, the interesting view of having a twin, Julian's twin, going to Holy Names, and they've set up their tuition so that, there is the full tuition, and you contribute part of the tuition to the school, and then you join the nonprofit, and you can donate up to the maximum dollar or whatever you want that would make up the rest of the tuition. And then when you have a company that has a matching donation, like I do at Salesforce, my company will match up to $2,500. So I don't know if you have something like that, or if Lutheran can look into something like that, so that, if you need to raise funds, or part of the tuition where you can raise money, because you're going to get extra money from the employers of different people who are part of the school or student body or the family. So it's just something that could be potential funding that you might want to look at.
Thank you so much.
And then my third comment is just that I love the idea of the initiative with the students in this world, a crazy world where they're going to be doing online, and schools might have to shift online all of a sudden. I think one thing that crosses my mind is having a common set of principles that families abide by, and that the students abide by before they even come to school, like self-temperature checks, and thinking about the whole student body and the school population, and having us all be a community to make sure that we all do our parts to not have the school shut down because somebody has come to school with a fever and exposes everybody else. We all want our children to go to school, and we want to get back to normal. So I think, as you're developing this, the initiative around the students is thinking about, communicating to all of us that, what can we do before we, send the kid out the door or on the bus, to make sure that we're taking care of the whole community, and having the students themselves, who are oftentimes going to get up and their parents are not even home because they're at work or headed to work. Maybe there's some shared responsibility about taking care of yourself and making sure you don't come to school if you're sick. And so I'm just thinking in terms of how to communicate that to the student body, and have sort of shared goals around taking care of the community, the school community.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. It reminds me of being a servant leader, right? Serve the people that you're with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Dave, there was a question we missed early on that was, are there any staff changes, teachers?
Yeah, I mentioned that. We are a couple of staff members are not returning, and we're distance and other things that are kind of came up in their decisions for that. Rachel is moving to full-time at the Seattle Fish Company with her husband, so that's why I'm taking on some of the admissions roles too, and I do love it. It's great talking to families for sure. And then Jack Menashe is also moving on. He is going to, they're moving to Auburn, and so he's moving down south as well. And so that being said, what we're doing with our staff is we're kind of putting it in, the board is working on getting everybody contracted and get back into the school, the mode of teaching, and also the block schedule and the periods, and making sure that we're having enough staff to cover all that as we go through it. So that's where we're at this point. It is a kind of a revolving thing in July as we go through it. I've been through this with staff for a long time, and I understand people's lives change and things happen. But we want to make sure we're building the schedule and we're building the things for people to participate and the teachers to have a great feel when they come in August and go for it. So,
Mr. Myers, I have a quick question. This is Joe Hall, Dylan Rasmussen's stepfather.
Hey, hi.
Hi. So I heard about, masks and temperature checks. Do you have any sense of the CDC and kind of the protocol so even if they pass with a temperature check, they have their mask on. What if they start sneezing or coughing? Will they be sent home? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. Our plan right now, and when I've talked to other schools about, our plan right now is to isolate, right? To isolate and then kind of exit them out of the building, and then have them follow up with their doctor and things like that. It's going to be a lot more intensive. All I can think about is my own personal walk as I walk in the grocery store with my mask and I accidentally sneeze or do something and I get a couple of looks at my direction. I understand the sensitivity of it, and so we're going to make sure that we're all participating in that and what that looks like. So we actually have a nurse's room that was used way back when they had the nurse in school, and so we'll have that room set up for kind of some isolation, and then pull students and escort them out, and then have them tested or have them go see the doctor and those kind of things. So I think that goes to what Greg was saying too about how we, a sneezing attack and things like that is going to be a little bit, it's going to be interesting as we walk through that.
So it'll be a little sensitive. Just, the common cold will be a little more sensitive than it normally would have been, I guess, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think if everybody understands, like I think Greg was saying this too, is everybody understands that we're all here for the common good of staying and moving forward in this. I think that's a really big thing for the student body. So, we're not judging you. We're not trying to embarrass you or anything like that. We just want to make sure that everybody's staying safe as we walk through this. And again, I just use my own example as, going to the grocery store and having a sneeze or a cough. And it's like, you kind of feel everyone's watching you and no one's really being mean about it, but it's that sensitivity that's out there.
Well, even if you don't have a sneeze, people they pivot away from you quickly.
Yeah.
I get it.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Are you going to require the whole population at school to wear the masks? I didn't catch that. Whether
at this point, that's one of those things I was saying earlier about private school versus public school. We have a lot of guidelines that are given to us as a private school, and there's only a few mandates. And one mandate that I checked on again today is that the students are in masks. That's a mandate for teachers and students right now. That has changed from before. About 3 weeks ago or so, when I checked it, it was more of this once they get in the building and in their cohort or wherever they are, they're going to be okay. So that has changed, especially now with the Washington State saying that everyone wears masks. So, but we'll keep an eye on that as we go through it. I heard a good analogy today about the masks, or the other day is that it's the seatbelt analogy, right? If you're driving a car and you get in an accident without a seatbelt, you're more likely to get injured or killed now. Seatbelt's not going to guarantee that you don't get injured or killed, but it's going to give you the percentage is going to go way up that you're going to be safer. And so that analogy was with the masks as well. And so I think that's something that we look at and we go. I personally am not, it's something that we all have to choose and walk through that. But from our student standpoint, if we can take that servant-hearted mentality, like was suggested earlier, I think that's an important thing as well. Looking at serving other people and keeping people safe. Now, if that changes, and that I can guarantee you that the teachers aren't real excited about teaching with a mask. That's not something. It's a big. How do I say this? As we have learned in the spring virtual, and as we have learned about what's coming our direction, teachers in these types of schools, actually, I'm not going to say that. I think all teachers have this feeling and want to be involved with these young people, and they want to be involved in their lives, and they also want to make sure that they have the opportunity to read them and see a personal approach to it. And that's been really, really hard. I'll just be honest. There's teachers that are reflecting on whether to continue to teach because of it, because it just is not a joy for them to be at home and doing it the way they're doing it. So we want to motivate them as well and understand that it's an important piece that we have to walk through together. And like I said earlier, the flowers always look good after the rain. And so if we can walk through this together and get to the other side of it and say, hey, you know what? We can be so much better. We can do so many things at a great way. And that's the approach that I want us, the school, to take, myself to take, to say, you know what, as long as we can stick together, we can walk through this, and then, wow, the next phase of Seattle Lutheran is going to be pretty amazing. So I see some comments on face shields. I've heard face shields are available, and then after they take them off after they teach, and then they have to wear the mask from there. Yeah, there's a balance between all of it, and we'll look into all those details. The safety team will look into all that stuff for sure as well. Oh, thanks, Kristen. So face shields are for students, not staff right now. Yeah, so students can, but not staff. Okay, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot going on with the COVID-19 and all the things that are out there. So please participate with us in the safety team. We'll send out some things. Those people that have offered to be a part of that, thank you, and we will start getting that going. So we have a good group. Now nothing's perfect, but we want to make sure we're doing it right.
Mr. Myers, just one other question on masks, and I apologize if I missed it earlier. Is it a certain type of mask, or is it bandanas? Is it mask? Is it face coverings? If I missed it, I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'll find out. Our safety team will have a good idea. I wanted to buy, a Seattle Lutheran mask with the big SL in the middle and what that looks like, but I'm not sure that was the right thing. That we didn't do it. So I think we want to make sure that we're getting the most that we can and the safest product that we can. So that's the thought. We'll dive into that for sure in the month of July.
We've been going through this a little bit at Hope Lutheran School with our summer camp. So Dave, I have a little bit of an answer on that. Just that they're saying that teachers cannot wear face shields because of they're not as reliable in their opinion because germs can get in under them. But students can wear face masks or face shields. I don't think the gator style is okay, or like the bandanas. That could change.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. We should come over to Hope and watch some of that summer care thing going on. Our athlete thing is slow, and there's only about 3 or 4 kids a day, so that's fine, and it's a good practice for us. But yeah, a bigger group would be good for us to kind of observe and see how that's done. The staggered start will help us, but we're going to have to all learn a little bit more of the protocols and make sure that we're staying together on it for sure. All right, everyone. It's about 7:30 or so. So I didn't want to go much longer than an hour, even though I love Zoom. It's fantastic. But thank you all so much for participating. I will definitely get some Facebook things out to share. We will be having a principal invite later in July, and I'll make sure everybody knows about that one as well. To more connection time, more time for us to get together and talk, as well as maybe even come up with some new ideas. So thank you all so much. Like I said, I think together, if we continue to stay together and walk through this, the other side, the flowers are going to bloom amazing. And I think those are flowers are young people that are ready to take on the world. They really are. And so I think our juniors and our sophomores that are coming back are, they're a little anxious of what things are going to look like because they're different. And so we want to make sure that they feel confident that they're going to be there and change the world. So I appreciate it all. I'll look through the questions and more, and if you have any other questions and/or want to participate in the safety team or anything else, please shoot me an email or even a phone call. I like that a little bit better, but that's okay if you just want to email to start with. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening.